balanced.
One or two players have had problems, you know, with them watering the pitch just beforehand. I think Armstrong didn't fancy his chances and slipped.
No goals in the Villa Park semi-final earlier today. No goals as yet in the Old Trafford semi-final. Chelsea are a goal up at Wimbledon in the Premiership, and there's a goal at Goodison Park, I understand too. Everton 1, Coventry City 0, and Kevin Campbell's got his first goal for Everton. And what a vital goal it could be. Everton 1, Coventry City 0. Freund. Carr. Led by Lee.
In this period of time, you know, since they've had the problem with Howie.
This is Freund. And Ferdinand's there.
Since they've had the problem with Howie, they've taken back over control, you know, Tottenham have. And they've had one or two very, very decent attempts. That was a good situation for them there.
Corner kick's been given. Newcastle are still unable to make the substitution to replace Steve Howie. Here at last comes Aaron Hughes, 19 years of age. Did have a run in the team before the turn of the year. And he played at the Nou Camp and against Kiev in Europe last season, but obviously from his tender years, he is relatively inexperienced.
I think we overlooked the point there that while all that was going on, it was a very, very timely interception from Davides.
Anderton to the near post where Shearer heads clear. Tariko. Anderton again, blocked by Lee. Ginola was waiting for the throw, it won't come. Griffin with a really quick challenge. It wasn't got out of play. Davies has head to head clear.
Yeah, well, while Howie was off the field, Speed filled in at the back line. I think it might be sensible for him now just to stay there a little bit until Hughes gets sort of bedded down.
Here goes Lee. Offside against Ketspire.
It's actually strange. I expected to see Ketspire playing behind Shearer. It looks as if Shearer is actually playing sometimes more of the link man and letting Ketspire be the furthest man forward.
This is Freund. Now Sherwood. Hamann emerging with the ball. Here goes Ketspire against Campbell. Well, there's an athletic contest. It was never really on, was it?
It was never really on, but I tell you what, Campbell's taken a little bit of a chance there. He's outstrengthened him all the way through the run, and then I think he's held him well off from the ball in playing distance.
Tottenham have a big problem with Darren Anderton at the moment. He's been limping for the last minute or so and has now gone down and is in need of treatment. Spurs desperate to get Ali Beta, their physio, on. Well, Darren Anderton has had a really good appearance record this season. If there's ever been an advert for healing, it's him. He's only missed half a dozen games through injury this term after all his problems. And this is not the moment to choose to run into trouble. He's had so much misfortune in FA Cup semi-finals, 3 times a loser, once with Portsmouth, and then twice with Tottenham Hotspur. A lot of Tottenham fans feel that he should have been rewarded with a penalty for an Andy Linnigan penalty, a tackle at Wembley in '93 against George Graham's Arsenal. Semi-final memories do hang around when you don't win. And Anderton has got too many of those. Seems to be moving a little easier now. And he's back. Ferdinand. There's an immense presence, mountain of a man. When he puts his weight around, he takes some holding in the air. And I think Newcastle have one like that too. Right, Newcastle. Camel's down on the ground at the moment after an off-the-ball bump with Shearer. Gibbons.
He's having a nightmare, isn't he? He's having a nightmare on back passes. I bet George Graham at half-time, if he's not already trying to scream it, he said every time, make them play it back and then hound it in there.
Speed to Lee. Front's challenge.
I think the lad just wants to, it seems to me as if he's leaning back on most of them. I think he wants to just lean into them and make sure he clears the midfield with his clearances.
Shearer unable to link up with speed. Instead it's Ferdinand. Now Anderson. Hit away by Dabizas. Brought down by Ketspire. Hamad. Lee. Ketspire. This is Shearer. Griffin a little hemmed in. Free kick given against Hughes. Anderton. Now Carr. Three waiting for the cross. He's still waiting. Headed away by speed as far as Anderton.
There's confidence enough for you from Anderton. I mean, he hit one screamer virtually from the kick-off, and that's, you know, it's worth a try. He's confident in his own ability. I think from Tottenham's point of view, they've got into crossing areas pretty often, and they've actually got some balls into the box, but not much of real quality, either due to pressure from the Newcastle defenders or the very fact that delivery's not been so good.
Bright sunshine in Manchester. Header on by Armstrong and back by Barton. Gibbons kicking from the hands is impressive enough. Shearer in pursuit, trying to hold off Luke Young. Hooked into the path of Lee. In towards Shearer again. And down for speed, but there's a foul being given against Alan Shearer, who found himself up against Luke Young, and I think that is what Newcastle want that matchup to be.
And everything about that was Shearer, wasn't it? He linked the first pass up, got Lee in. Lee crosses a great ball for him, and he pulls on the young defender's shoulder, and probably pulls a little bit too hard on the defender's shoulder, according to the referee.
Solano to Ketspire. Speed. Hamad. Both the German midfield players on view are heavily decorated players. Hamad won a couple of titles, the UEFA Cup, a German Cup with Bayern Munich. And Stefan Freund has played in the last two Champions League semi-finals for Borussia Dortmund, not to mention the semi-final of the European Championships against England at Wembley, when he marked Paul Gascoigne for much of the evening. And there they are together, and Freund just caught Hamad. Ketspire. Slipped through to Solano. Waited and waited, couldn't make his mind up. Tim Sherwood made his mind up for him.
Yeah, he's a bit unlucky there, Solano. He didn't. He was trying to delay the ball in time for Ketspire to get through, because the link-up between those two has been particularly good. Some of their interpassing has been very sharp.
Shearer. Ginola skipping away from the hurdle which Rob Lee put in his path, and now taking on Griffin, who made a good challenge. He's hurt his ankle in the process.
Yeah, it was a brilliant challenge there from the kid because, to be fair, Ginola looked confident. He was running with the ball well. He's starting to get past the Newcastle defenders, and the lad made a great recovery tackle, but unfortunately, it looks as if he's had a crack across his ankle. I mean, from there on in, you thought Ginola's not going to be stopped. But that's a great tackle, very clean.
He's been given a big job by his manager this afternoon, Andy Griffin. Came from Stoke City in January of last year. He was cup-tied last season when Newcastle were on the way to Wembley. But the England under-18 international stuck to his task today against Schindler. This is Ketspire. Lee, 3 waiting in the box. Headed away is by Carr. Speed. Barton. Hammer. Solana. Ketspire. No free kick. Now there is. Shearer's holding back Young.
Yeah, Ketspire with his broken Georgian there thinks that he deserves a free kick. He doesn't. Caught fair and square in possession. But to me, he's looked the biggest threat on the field. Ketspire, you know, we got two vaunted strikers from Tottenham, Alan Shearer himself, and yet Ketspire to me has looked the biggest threat on either goal.
Armstrong down. Man towards the heavens. Throw it down to Armstrong. To Ginola. He was tucking away in his shirt, holding back. Ginola opening it out to Carr. Now Anderson. Now Ferdinand. Anderson had gone off. Hughes it was who got in the way. Freud has to come back to Young. To go back to Walker. Who's happier, Ron?
I would think Newcastle are. I mean, Tottenham started off a lot brighter and they were getting a few crosses in, but all of a sudden they've dealt with that fairly well. I've been very impressed the way they dealt with the threat through the centre as well.
Rob Lee. Freund to Sherwood. Carr to Sherwood.
Having said that, if it was a boxing match, you wouldn't know who was winning on points. Newcastle, Tottenham probably had 2 or 3 slightly better chances.
Don King would know. He'd have sorted it out beforehand.
He'd have known me, yeah. He'd have told us yesterday, that's right.
This is Shearer. Young couldn't quite cut it out, and Ketspire has been penalised. He did push Young, who was, I think, already on the way down. And I also think Paul Durkin got some help from Mark Cooper, whose linesman was very well placed on the near side.
It's not as convincing as the fall, though, is it? It's not that convincing. I mean, I don't think Young could have stopped him there anyway. I mean, I've always thought of Ketspire as being somebody that plays free, but today he's playing, if you like, almost the Ian Rush type role.
David Ginola plays in Tariko. Played against Griffin, who couldn't prevent the corner kick.
Yeah, but that's intelligence there from Ginola. 2 men double him up. Tariko comes through empty. He's the player on mark. So just pick him off.
Last moments of an evenly contested first half.
I think Spurs have had a couple of half chances from corners. One that fell to Sol Campbell early on.
Ginola. Lofted in towards Ferdinand. Well, it's been absorbing rather than explosive. We've had moments of promise rather than moments of real opportunity. Tottenham started well, Newcastle recovered well. And 2 hours and 45 minutes into FA Cup semi-final Sunday, we await the first goal. At Old Trafford, it's Newcastle United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Newcastle United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0 here at Old Trafford. 45 minutes gone. It started well, a little scrappy maybe near half-time. And right now we've got the views of Barry Venison and John Gregory. First half, summing up.
Yeah, very good. It's just got those 12 goals that are missing. But, I talked about
well, half of them.
Show,
We settled for half of them, yeah?
Yeah, I think it had everything. I mean, Tottenham started exceptionally well. I think they got the tempo going from the first minute, and Anderson's strike on goal was really epitomised Tottenham's start. Really very positive about it. But
let's look at it. Let's look at it straight away, Barry, because this really could have got the game off to one heck of a start.
Well, it would have been a great start, and Darren Anton's got a fantastic strike, and it looks impressive from the distance he's hit it from there, and it looks a good save from that angle. But when we see it from this angle, he picks it up, and the amount of bend and power he gets on it. Shea Gibbons not the tallest, but I tell you what, he does not get across his goal quickly there. And
from the ensuing corner, John.
Yeah,
Chris Armstrong
should have done better here. I don't think he really got a full foot on this. A bit more of a better strike, and that would have put Tottenham 1-0 up.
We expected, didn't we? We talked about Ginola. Everybody talks about Ginola. I mean, we expected him to be man-to-man marked, and we've seen that as well this half, particularly early on.
Yeah, I think Rob Lee has actually worked exceptionally hard. He's tried to get the screen and to protect young Andy Griffin along behind him. But I think Andy Griffin himself has done exceptionally well. I think we've got a clip here.
He only needs
to stay with Ginola here very well. Stays on his feet without going to the ground, and Ginola's not really been able to put in a cross without being challenged as well. I think Andy Griffin's done exceptionally well down there.
I think it's important that you talk about Rob Lee, though. I mean, I think Rob Lee's contributions has been as big as any Newcastle player.
There he is, isn't he?
And this is not natural for Rob, getting in there defending. As long as he's putting them under pressure, he's doing a good job. But Rob Lee's overall contribution has been brilliant for the team.
I think you said, Barry, that Ian Walker, we hadn't really seen him make a save. Newcastle,
no, we haven't.
I mean, there was one move which was a nice move. Again, Rob Lee involved, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rob Lee again. He just calms himself down, picks a pass out. Ketsby actually gets too much room. George Graham wouldn't be happy with Sol there, a little bit deep. But this is where they've been dangerous down the left-hand side. Not as much as the right, but it's a runs from Solano. He gets a lucky break, but the finishing's not there. And again, the goalkeeper's not tested. George Graham would be delighted because Ian Walker hasn't got his gloves dirty.
I was going to say which of the two managers would be happier. Would you go along with that, John?
I think Ruud would be certainly pleased that the last 10 minutes or so Newcastle have really come back into the game after being on the back foot for most of the first half. But both managers will be quite pleased how things have gone so far. George probably more so than Ruud because he's got a clean sheet.
Would you change anything?
No, I think I can see Everson coming on at some stage, I would think. And possibly little Nielsen. Nielsen always does very well getting forward, and as we saw last week, scored a very important goal in the final.
No, it'll not change. I mean, there's no need to change it. It's still a little bit cagey. I'm just glad that Newcastle are making more of a game. I was a little bit concerned in the first 15 minutes because they couldn't deal with the crosses, but they seem to stem the flow a little bit now.
OK, thank you. Well, just time to tell you about one bizarre little spectacle at yesterday's Fulham-Wigan game. Before kick-off, Mohammed Al-Fayed paraded Michael Jackson, the self-proclaimed king of pop, in front of the Craven Cottage faithful, who were more interested, quite frankly, in King Kev. Rumour has it he did write a song during the first half, but it wasn't Thriller. Fulham cruising to another victory, 2-0. Now then, don't forget your major sporting viewing on ITV doesn't end here today at Old Trafford. At the conclusion of this semi-final, we'll be taking you, as we do now, to Sao Paulo and the Brazilian Grand Prix. Here's Jim Rosenthal.
Thanks very much indeed, Bob. Welcome to Sao Paulo. For a couple of hours at least, football takes second place to motor racing in Brazil.
Here at Old Trafford, we're halfway through an FA Cup semi-final. It's Newcastle 0, Spurs 0, the second half. Hello again. No score here at Old Trafford between Newcastle and Spurs after 45 minutes. We've been sort of discussing which of the two managers. And do you think Duncan Ferguson might have a part to play in this semi-final?
I think he could have. I mean, he's obviously had a serious injury, but that last 15-20 minutes, maybe just throw him on. It would lift the Newcastle fans, especially if it's still 0-0. I think it would lift his team as well. And
you've done similar things at Villa Park.
Yeah, we did it with Stanley Victor.
Collymore.
Yeah,
for those who don't know who Stanley Victor is,
he's been sat on the bench a few times, and 0-0, 20 minutes to go, we suddenly put him on.
Lift the crowd.
Lifts the crowd, lifts the team, and suddenly a different atmosphere around the place.
What would you do, Barry?
Well, if he is fit enough, Ferguson's fit, he's obviously fit enough to be on the bench, so he's fit enough to bring on. 15-20 minutes is going to be about his limit, because if he gets too tight, a hamstring is going to go. But it's a great asset. They can just change it Newcastle and just knock a few balls in, and Alan Shearer working around him. He would then become the target man.
He does terrorise people, doesn't he? Just simply with his height, and he's an awkward lad.
He is awkward, and it's interesting. We're talking about Rob Lee. Rob Lee's probably the only person in the Newcastle team who's knocked any decent quality in from the right-hand side. It's only happened on 2, possibly 3 occasions. Alan Shearer's nearly got in the end of it. Nothing from the left, really, apart from the runs. But if he does get in there, Ferguson, then he'll love those kind of balls from Rob Lee.
Were you expecting more from Hamann?
Hamann's been quiet. In fact, while it's been competitive in the midfield, it hasn't been a war zone. I think what we've seen is they've pretty much cancelled each other out. And we're looking at the 2 sets of forwards, really, to create any kind of aggro, and it hasn't come about that way. It's been pretty even for me. OK, we're all set, almost all set here. Let's go back to Ron Atkinson and Clive Tilson.
Thank you, Bob. It did take an hour for Alan Shearer's winning goal against Sheffield United to arrive in last year's semi-final here. Newcastle have actually won their last 5 FA Cup semis, run dating back to 1947, and Tottenham have lost 2 in recent years, to Everton in '95 and to George Graham's Arsenal at Wembley in '93. But a lot of players on the field with high-level experience of high-level cup semi-finals. Here's one of them, David Ginola, who played in 3 European semi-finals for Paris Saint-Germain before moving to Newcastle United, and then on to Tottenham. Stephen Carr, Darren Anderson. Carr has Sherwood trying to time a run ahead of him. Hooked away against Sherwood by Hughes, and Gibbon responded very quickly indeed.
Very threatening moment. Carr picks out, tries to pick out Sherwood's run. He gets a rebound off Sherwood gets Hughes gets a rebound off the keeper, and 4 marks to the goalkeeper for tidying up very, very cleanly. Could have been a messy thing for them, that.
Gary Speed. Freud to Anderton. Davis has looks leering at Gary Speed, who did sell him short then. Ferdinand. This is Sherwood. Now Tariko, tripped. Monday's meeting at Newcastle was barely a dress rehearsal. Back in October, in George Graham's first game in charge at White Hart Lane, Spurs beat Newcastle 2-0. That's their only win in the last 8 encounters. The last FA Cup tie between the two was settled by a Clive Allen penalty in 1987. Tottenham went on to the final.
Certainly felt the full blow of that Tariko. Rob Lee might consider himself a little bit fortunate not to have finished up in the ref's book for that.
Not like George to be involved in a big game, is it? Or Ruud Gullit, for that matter. George Graham is now based on the touchline and in conversation with the 4th official, Jeff Winter.
I think George's comments to Jeff Winter might be, how come Rob Lee's got away with that?
It wasn't too pretty, was it?
No, it was a nasty one.
He has got away with it.
I mean, the referee has been quite lenient and throughout the game. I'm not saying that to his detriment, because you know there's been very few nasty incidents in the game. But I think once he does something, takes somebody's name for things like that, he's going to have a book for it.
Griffin He was just clipped there by Freud. Tariko is back with us.
I would think if this does threaten to overspill, another couple of challenges or even the next challenge, something like that, I think the ref will get his notebook out.
This is Griffin. Now Haman. Barton. Dabizas. Shearer breaking beyond Young, no flag here. Solano. He had options, both sides of him. Barton had made an overlapping run. Freud was giving it straight to Haman. Now Armstrong looking to skip clear, the flag is up.
Certainly Shearer started his half working against Luke Young. That little ball there, little spin run, took him clear of the defence. When you think back to that shot he had in the cup final, it hit the base of the post, Shearer, you know. I'm often surprised when he gets up that inside left goalie, why he doesn't use his left foot more. Still has that tendency to come back on his right side, and to a certain extent makes it easier for defenders. Not easy, but easier.
There's no disputing who was the better side on cup final day last year, but Shearer hit the woodwork. Dabizas clipped the crossbar with a header. Newcastle did have their moments in the second half of that game. Here is Dabizas. And here is Shearer. Looking for Rob Lee.
George is making a change, actually. Sinton's coming in.
I think Anderton's struggling. Run away from Ketspire to Sherwood. Armstrong losing possession. Campbell out to Anderton, who's at half pace.
Pass it! Pass it!
Here's Darren Anderton again. He's looking to help it on to Armstrong. Upended by Dabizas.
Yeah, that's more down to Armstrong's ability than Dabizas, isn't it? He'd have been unlucky to have got booked for that.
Tyneside-born Andy Sinton is the man who will replace Darren Anderton. Most of his career in the south of England, Andy Sinton. In a spell with Sheffield Wednesday. It looks like he's going to operate on the right-hand flank. Sherwood takes. Oh, here comes Campbell! Some of the Tottenham fans thought it was in. It wasn't, but to Newcastle United's relief, because they lost Saul Campbell momentarily, it was wide.
You could almost visualise George doing this in training when he used to do with Tony Adams, wouldn't it? The big central defender spinning right around the back of the defence. Good flight with ball in. Lost his marker and really should have scored. Certainly should have gone back across the goal on it, I think, with the header, but that's a let-off for Newcastle.
This is Sherwood. He thought it was tapped by Dabizas. Paul Durkin's enjoying the game. He wants it to keep flowing.
Yeah, I think if it was a league game, you know, I think there's 3 or 4 would have gone in the book by now.
He took charge of the quarter-final here between Manchester United and Chelsea and sent 2 off that day. Solano. Ketspire. Solano. Shot blocked by Freud, cleared by Carr. Controlled by Ginola. Lost out to Haman. Here goes Shearer, feeding off Griffin. Turned in towards Solano, dealt with by Luke Young, corner kick. Roar of encouragement for Newcastle United.
I think Stephen Carr there's trying to make a case for that Luke Young was pushed in the back on the cross. Certainly there's no suggestion of offside on Shearer.
Nikos Dabizas is forward. Solano in towards the near post, rather bafflingly. Certainly none of his own players were expecting it. Darren Anderson's problem is a hip injury, which clearly they couldn't mend during the half-time break. Barton in towards Shearer, made that his, under pressure from Campbell. Young did well, as far as Ketspire. Now Haman. Got a shot away. A slight deflection on the way through, but Ferdinand put Haman under pressure. Armstrong against Dabizas. Let's take a chance or two, Nikos Dabizas, but he's been pretty secure today.
Yeah, he's taken on a lot of responsibility, certainly since Howie went off. He's got to look after the young lad alongside him, and he's done that quite well.
Aaron Hughes replaced Steve Howie in the first half. Now since half-time, Andy Sinton has come on in place of Darren Anderton. They are the only statistics of this semi-final thus far. Ginola trying to change that. Lee and Griffin for company. Sympathy for David Ginola from the Newcastle United fans over there who used to worship him.